This is the Tech Support Guy Show, episode 74 for January 19th, 2014, Baby Monitor Apps and IP Cameras. Welcome to the Tech Support Guy Show. I'm Mike Cermak, known on the site as Tech Guy. Today, Danny and I are going to be talking about baby monitors. We are both fathers. I've got a 3-year-old. Dan has, I think, 102 kids. And actually, as of very recently, he has 5 kids, so congratulations on that. So we have become somewhat experts on baby monitors. Dan's going to be talking about IP cameras and using those as baby monitors because he is a true geek. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about an experience I had recently. We have a regular baby monitor at home that we use, and we've been very happy with it. But we were traveling recently. We were all the way out in Denver, visiting some family for the holidays, and didn't bring a baby monitor with us because we thought, we wouldn't need it in Denver, in a hotel. But what happened is that we ended up spending, late nights at the family's home, and we put our son Cameron down for bed, and then played Cards Against Humanity and drank excessively and did all those sort of things you're supposed to do after the kids go to bed. But the problem was we couldn't hear him. He was up in a spare bedroom with a pack and play, and there was no extra baby monitor there. They were using theirs for their kid because they loved their kid. And so we thought about going out and buying a baby monitor just for the purposes of during this trip to be able to monitor him. And I realized, we've got all these electronics and devices in front of us. Someone surely found a way to do this. I was thinking of like doing a Skype call from one iPad to another and just have a Skype call open. Doesn't that make sense, Dan? Isn't that an ingenious thought?
It is. You just have to mute it on the other end to make sure
so he doesn't hear the excessive drinking on the other. I'm kidding, by the way. I don't drink actually. But so what I found out though is I did some hunting, and there's an app. The old joke, there's an app for that, and there's a program, and it's a silly name. I almost didn't try it because of the silly name, but it's called Best Baby Monitor. And this particular app is just for Apple devices. I am quite confident there is something similar for Android devices. I don't think there are any apps that go between devices other than maybe using Skype. But it's a neat program. I'm going to see if I can get it on the screen here so you can see it. And it's a super simple program. There's 2 buttons up here. You can go in here and start video, and you can tell it whether this is the child unit or whether this is the parent unit. In this case, I'm going to say this is the parent unit. And then it's going to come up and it's going to search the Wi-Fi network and Bluetooth. There we go. Look at that. I should have muted myself. I have the other device here, and it just picked it up, and now we're monitoring that. And it gives you a couple of options on there. It lets you mute, for one thing. And it does have a talkback feature. I'm going to close out of it so it doesn't keep talking to me.
That's nice.
It has a talkback feature just like a lot of baby monitors do. So on the parental unit, you can push a button and talk back into the room where the kiddo is. It also has the ability to remotely turn on lullabies, so it can play music, which doesn't work for my son, but some people like that. I wish it had a white noise option, but it doesn't. But what's neat is that it connects either through Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It automatically tries to find the other device through Wi-Fi if it's fast enough and if they're both connected. Otherwise, it falls back to Bluetooth. So you want to make sure you have Bluetooth enabled on both devices, even if you don't usually have Bluetooth enabled on your iPad, for example. It's a good idea to do for that. And it's a neat little program. Now, the biggest downside to it is that, first of all, it's $3.99, but that's a pretty cheap baby monitor for a backup or while traveling. But the biggest thing is, of course, night vision, something we were talking about a little bit before the show started. And so, there's no infrared LEDs on my iPad or on, and by the way, this could be used iPad or iPhone on either side of it. But what it does allow you to do is you can remotely, if you're using the iPhone as the baby monitor, you can remotely turn on the flash, which would surely blind the child, but hopefully they're asleep and you would see that. Or you can turn on the screen, and it just puts a white image on the screen, which turns on the backlight of the screen and lights up the room a very little bit. In both cases, unless it was very close to Cameron and the screen was very close and lit up, we really couldn't see much of anything. But it worked as an old-school audio baby monitor really well.
Nice.
And I guess if you probably had a nightlight or something in the room, that could help as far as the video goes as well. But it's a really neat program. Again, it's called Best Baby Monitor. We're going to put it in the show notes. And as a reminder, techguy.tv has all the show notes and links to everything we ever talk about and previous episodes. But it's a neat solution, and we're going to use it many more times whenever we travel. I'm confident of it, and it's a great backup. If we've had cases where the monitoring part of the baby monitor gets dropped in a tub or whatever, and it's always nice to have backups.
Yeah.
So
I
in
like
Dan's
the talkback feature.
You like to talk back? Yeah, I do too. That's pretty neat. I mean, we do like it. So it's a great app. I highly recommend it, and excellent. So Dan, you have 5 kids at your home. How many baby monitors do you still have?
So that was actually not cause for concern, but one of our reasons for searching for new solutions. We only had one baby monitor because we've only had one child. We have a child about every 2 years. We're going to stop that, but we finally figured out how it works. So our latest monitor we've had for a couple of years since Rowan was born. It was a Motorola monitor. It had a talkback feature, night vision, and all of that. But it just started, the battery in the monitor stopped charging. It started not notifying us when there was sound, but we could still see the video of activity. So anyway, we only had one, and we wanted to have one still for Rowan because he's 2 years old, and he gets into a lot. So we kind of want to know when he's up because everyone watch out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And we wanted to know that for Mandolin as well. If she's stirring or needs a diaper change or she's just fussing, she's got gas, whatever. So we started looking at baby monitors, and I wanted to be able to, one of the criteria was I wanted to be able to see the babies while I'm at work. And there are baby monitor IP cameras, if you will, packages out there, but they run like $300 or $400.
Yeah. I know that Y-Things, not to interrupt you, but there's a company called Y-Things that makes a Wi-Fi scale that I really like, and they make it a baby monitor, and like you said, it's $250. It has some neat features on it, but I don't know. And one thing that I do like about using IP cameras as baby monitors, whether it's one specifically meant for baby monitors or not, is that it connects through the Wi-Fi. Because a problem with a lot of baby monitors, especially the lower end ones, is that they conflict with the Wi-Fi signal. They're on 2.4 gigahertz and either don't work well whenever they're near a Wi-Fi device, or the Wi-Fi devices lose range, or if it actually works on Wi-Fi, then it's not conflicting anymore.
Yeah, and so we started looking at the D-Link cameras, and we looked at a couple of Foscam cameras. And I initially, by mistake, because I was tired, sleep deprived, and whatnot, I bought the day cameras. The day cameras don't have the night vision in them, and they don't have the embedded web server that you can get in the day-night cameras. And a 2-pack of those cost $60 on Newegg. And then I realized quickly my mistake, and I kept those and bought 2 more of the day-night cameras. It's DCS 932L.
Mm-hmm.
These are really nice cameras. They have the day-night. They have an embedded web server, which is open source, always a plus.
Especially for Dan.
Especially for me. So we use it as a baby monitor like this. We have the 2 cameras, one set up in Rowan's room, one in Mandolin's room, and we have an app that D-Link puts out for Android or iOS, and my wife leaves the app running at night so that we can hear the sound, but you don't have to. You can get push notifications via email or the app itself. So the app kind of always runs in the background, although you can't hear it, and when a motion or a sound is detected, it'll send you an email. Motion was detected, or noise above what is determined to be normal has been detected. Another feature that I like, a lot of these cameras will detect motion when light changes.
Mm-hmm.
But using the embedded web server, you can actually set up regions on the camera that you want to monitor for motion. So you can cut down on that a little bit, and you can also set a threshold for how much sensitivity it's going to have. 0 to 100%.
That's great. It's great. It gives you that much flexibility or that much control over it.
So, in order to use the app, you have to register the cameras with a mydlink.com account, which is free. And much like Hobo in the chat room, I kind of had a problem with that, just because that was the greatest point of failure that I could foresee as far as somebody hijacking the video feed and being able to see what's going on inside the house.
Sure.
The
Well, and to
cameras
be fair, that has been the case even with regular baby monitors. There's been many, many instances of those being picked up by other people outside the home and being able to see inside the house.
And most of that is actually the consumer's fault. The consumer did not protect their wireless network. They did not protect their cameras. So,
or in some cases, if it's a regular baby monitor, not Wi-Fi, not IP,
Right.
it's not encrypted signal at all. It's just an open signal it's sending out.
Yes, that's correct.
With a lot of the cheaper ones, it's not a true, digital encrypted signal.
So there are kind of 3 points of security for me on this one. So we've got if we're only viewing it locally, and the My D-Link app does support local viewing only, it'll detect the cameras on a given network.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got the password on the camera itself, and each camera can have its own password, your own encrypted wireless network, and then you've also got your mydlink.com user account. So you've kind of got 3 points of protection there, and I feel relatively safe. I don't share this with anyone. I wouldn't recommend that you give it to grandma or anything like that. I'd still use Skype and things like that to do that. But overall, I love the camera.
Now, how about the installation for the networking end of it so that you can view it remotely? Do you have to open ports on your router for that, or is it all done automatically?
It was, so if you have a WPS router, a WPS enabled router, you can do push button configuration on the wireless, which is nice. I don't, and I didn't set it up that way. What I did was I had to plug it into my router first and go through the configuration and the discovery option. And during that discovery, I was able to tell it that I wanted it to use the wireless and to set up the password for the camera itself. And it was pretty seamless. It was set up in 10 minutes. One thing with all 4 of the cameras that we ended up buying, they all required firmware upgrades. And I had relative success or sporadic success in getting those upgrades to be applied. On the day cameras, I was able to do it relatively easily. On the day-night cameras, I have still yet to be able to do it. And I think that it's because the camera itself is causing too much congestion. It's sending out a bunch of traffic, and it's kind of, I think it's overwhelming itself and not being able to download the firmware.
That's a shame.
But these cameras, they're nice in that they can be wired if you have Ethernet jacks available in the rooms that you're installing them. So that is nice. I only have a portion of my house network, so the wireless option was nice.
Yep, absolutely.
For viewing options, you have with the day-night cameras, you have 3 options. You've got the My D-Link Lite app on Android or iOS. You have the embedded web server if you're local. These cameras run their own embedded web server, which you can use Java or ActiveX to view the live camera feed, or you can use the mydlink.com account to log in and view, again using Java, to see what's going on there. And I've mentioned Java a couple of times, and by far that is the greatest downfall of these devices. They use Java. On my wife's computer, Chrome with Java would crash when running the mydlink.com application. And on the local web server, the positive there is that you can use ActiveX instead of using Java. But you've got to use Internet Explorer if you're going to use the ActiveX.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a downfall there.
That's a shame.
But I'd prefer to use the ActiveX plugin, honestly, than the Java plugin.
Never thought I'd hear you say that. It's a shame they don't have like an HTML5 or even Flash option.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all about cost. They might have more advanced versions of this camera that do have something else that's a little more embedded.
Sure. But if you're going to use it primarily with apps on a mobile device, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah. And Hobo in the chat room pointed out, for the local web server that's embedded in the cameras, you can do port forwarding. And Hobo, I've done the same thing, and I've set up my own username and accounts on those servers. So again, you've got authentication there.
I hear the little ones in the background. It sounds like they're ready for you.
It is.
You better check your cameras.
Here. Actually, let's. So we can see Mandolin right here. She is on the camera and sleeping through this because our house is pure chaos. It would be hard not to.
She has to either adjust to it or not sleep, huh?
Right, it's evolution, baby.
That's awesome, Dan.
But we'll see if I can pull up Rowan's camera, and Rowan's camera is just a view of his toddler bed here.
Uh-huh.
And my cameras probably aren't focusing on that. I think you could see Mandolin's head a little bit ago, but... Yeah.
Awesome.
I definitely like them. They make them really interesting, and I think it's more powerful than a baby monitor. I don't have the talkback feature, which kind of sucks. I would like to have the talkback feature.
I don't use that as often as I thought I would. It's nice every once in a while, but...
Yeah. So with my son Rowan, we were able to calm him down with just a voice.
Mm-hmm.
You could just talk to him, and knowing that you were there was enough for him, and he kind of settled back down. Mandolin, however, she's a little cuddle bug, and you have to hold her to get her to settle back down. With
Cameron, whenever he hears you, he expects to see you as well, so it doesn't give him too much comfort usually. At least that's been my observation.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's some great things to look into. And if anyone has any other suggestions for what they use for baby monitors, we're all ears. Feel free to share them in the comments below, or send us a message. And anything else you want to add before we wrap it up, Dan?
No, I think that's awesome. About it.
Hey, well, thanks a lot, and I hope you get some sleep.
I'm going to try like hell.
All right, have a good one, everyone. Again, you can go to techguy.tv, find the past episodes, and also links to all the products we talked about today. And we'll see you guys next time.